As a real estate investment owner, your goal is to turn a profit each year. Simple. But there are several costly mistakes that can turn an investment into a massive expense and headache. Today, I'll walk you through 6 of them and hopefully help you avoid them in the future. My name is Abhi, and I'm here with Keyrenter Houston to share some key insights from our experience operating a property management company in the city of Houston for the past 10 years. Our goal as a company is to help our clients operate their properties more efficiently and also increase their returns. Number 1, the most important one that I've encountered is simply just buying the wrong property. Research is of course very important, location, property condition, and honestly, the most important of all those factors is understanding a realistic estimate on what you will get for rent each month. Every time we encounter a property owner that is struggling making their numbers work is generally because they had an unrealistic expectation on rent and also did not get the right kind of research done in terms of their property condition. It is so important that you do not buy a property that you think is a steal, and then once you factor in renovations, repairs, and also what rent you're going to get, you realize it's a massive money pit. Obviously, getting an inspection is very important. 2, though, you also want to ensure that the advice that you're getting is not from someone who is just financially incentivized to close the sale. Nothing against real estate agents. They're great in many situations. However, you really want to ensure that the person that you're working with has a long-term investment in your success. If they don't, then they could frankly tell you whatever rent that they think is appropriate and not give you a realistic outlook. And then you find yourself not making enough rent, spending too much for repairs and renovations, and turning a positive investment, potentially positive investment, into a perennially negative one. Number 2, tenant screening. This is constantly the area where we find property owners skimp. They find a tenant that is willing to pay whatever they're advertising and then hope that they work, but don't validate that they will. And we end up taking over a property for them that's in the midst of an eviction process or struggling to ensure that the tenant pays their rent. The tenant's constantly paying late or something along those lines. It's not worth it. It's not worth that risk. Make sure you do your tenant screening very, very well. We have a great video on tenant screening. I really open up the Keyrenter Houston process and talk about what it is that we do. Take a look at it. I promise it'll be worth your while. Number 3, regular property inspections. This takes time and there's no argument there. It certainly is not what many people hope to hear, especially when we're talking about passive real estate investments. But this is honestly one of the most important pieces to handle during the process of tenancy. Regular inspections ensure that you have a connection with the tenant, helps the tenant pay more on time, because if they like the place that they live, they will pay on time. And then also it will ensure that you catch issues before they become really big issues. Tenants not changing their filters. That's a really common problem. You'll catch that. Tenants not reporting a small leak or an issue with the repair. You would catch that as well. These are things that are very important. And when you are investing that kind of time in the property and also attention, then the tenant will in turn, you'll find at least the tenant in turn will do the same as well and renew their lease more often than not. We'll talk more about maintenance and deferred maintenance, but before I move on to the next 3 points, I really want to take a moment to give a shameless plug for my property management firm, Keyrenter Houston. We help out all of our real estate investors ensure that a passive real estate investment is actually passive. We also guide budding real estate investors into making that first purchase, hopefully solving points 1 through 6 throughout this video so you don't have to worry about them. Honestly, the goal for us is to ensure that you have an exceptionally positive experience with real estate investment and also your property manager. If you want to learn more or just, browse, I guess, take a look at our website. We'll have the link below. It's www.keyrenterhouston.com. Also, feel free to give us a shout. You can schedule a call at your convenience. So number 4, delaying maintenance repairs. Delaying maintenance repairs, small repairs, can seem like cost savings at the particular moment, but it will almost always lead to a larger repair later on. A small leak can seem harmless at the moment, but if you ignore it, it can at least lead to significant water damage that costs thousands to fix. A really common issue that we hear that property owners do not handle consistently, or at least at the time, is like a sewer smell, or maybe gurgling in the pipes, or a small leak in a particular sink. Those 3 issues are often, almost always often, signs of a really big issue that is going to happen sooner down the road. Whether it's a crushed pipe for the first one, or perhaps a backflow clog for the second one, or third, just a leak that will eventually grow into a larger one. Just make sure you don't defer your maintenance. Also, you'll find yourself with tenants that often will sign a new lease, and you want your tenants to renew. Number 5, mishandling tenant turnovers. This one's tough, and there is no real easy way to ensure that everything is streamlined. It is a logistical challenge. You have to ensure that you do the move-out inspection, the tenant disposition, refund the tenant their money, all at the same time while getting quotes to get the property ready again, clean it up, and do showings, so you can find that next tenant and minimize vacancy. Minimizing vacancy is the utmost important. It is probably the most important tip that I can give any real estate investor, because that vacancy will end up being the biggest expense with almost any real estate investment. When you don't have a tenant, you're losing valuable rental income. And so minimizing that turnover time, the period of time that it takes you to between a tenant moving out and the repairs that you have to make before you can put it back up on the market, is very important. It is a logistical challenge. It's something that you have to juggle. It requires time, but you can mitigate a lot of that by ensuring that you commit to particular timelines with the previous tenant. You talk about it beforehand, how you're going to refund the security deposit, and then also ensure that you get a vendor to help you do that move out inspection, and also give you a bid on the spot. You want to line this all up before you get to the point where you're like, oh snap, it's a couple months in and the property is still vacant and I haven't got it back up on the market. Number 6, I alluded to this one before. Vacancy is the biggest ROI killer for any real estate investment, period. Think about it quantitatively. Let's say you're renting your property out for the average in Houston, which is around $1,700 a month. And you go for a month vacant, trying to focus and find that perfect tenant that will rent out your property for $1,700 a month. Let's say you get someone that comes in at $1,600 a month and you say no. You end up losing 1 month's worth of rent, a 1/12 of your annual income, $1,700. The opportunity cost of losing that is $1,200 a month, because you would have dropped your rent by $100 for this tenant that can move in now. So I say all this to really drive home the point that you do not want to cut your nose to spite your face. You don't want to wait for a perfect tenant that's going to pay the dollar amount that you want, but then end up losing out on your annual income. Remember, the goal is to turn a profit at the end of the year. It's not to ensure that you have a tenant that pays the rent that you want them to pay. It's really to ensure that that tenant stays for a long period of time. And also, you end up with a profitable venture. At Keyrenter Houston, actually, we provide a calculator for our property owners to ensure they understand what's the value of the rent versus the vacancy. And if it makes sense to keep it vacant and not accept the rent, then great, let's do it. But if it doesn't, then it helps our clients understand, does this make sense? Is this worthwhile for me to proceed? Should I change my tact and ensure that turn a profit this year as opposed to going negative? Cool. Those are my 6 tips. By avoiding these 6 tips, hopefully you're able to avoid unnecessary headaches, save money, and increase your profitability. If you found the video helpful, please like and subscribe. It'll help me very much. It'll also help others that might be in a similar situation that would find this video helpful, find the video. And yeah, have you faced any of these issues as a property owner? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your experiences. I do read them and I'd like to help out any way I can. Thanks.